Ahzek Ahriman, former first librarian of the Thousand Suns, is to me one of the most fascinating characters in all of Warhammer 40k. He's a firstborn space marine, born on Terra, once trusted with the arcane heart of his legion, and now he is known by many as the champion of Tzeentch, which is strange, because Ahriman never set out to serve Tzeentch. In fact, he spent most of his existence actively resisting him. But maybe that's exactly the point. Tzeentch is the chaos god of change, sorcery, manipulation, ambition, and contradiction. And while most of his followers fall to greed or hunger for power, Ahriman has remained different. He doesn't bend the knee. He doesn't worship. He represents something far more dangerous to the status quo, something far more compelling. He represents hope. He doesn't represent false hope or naive optimism, but willful, stubborn, desperate hope, that kind that breaks worlds and reshapes destinies. I'll be honest, Ahriman is the reason why I chose the Thousand Suns as my first army. There's a depth to his story that cuts through the usual over-the-top tone Warhammer is known for. I mean, okay, don't get me wrong. I love the spectacle, the absurdity, and the grim darkness of 40k and 40k's characters. But Ahriman just stands apart. Whenever I see his name in a story, I know I'm about to read something different, something that feels more personal, something more human. And while I'm not a lore expert or a scholar, I've read enough to feel confident in saying this. Ahriman is the perfect champion of Tzeentch, not because he wants to be, but because of what he refuses to give up. So, I'm gonna back that statement up. Ahriman had a twin brother, Ormuzd. Like many in their legion, he was struck by the flesh change, a horrific mutation caused by the Thousand Suns' unstable gene seed. Ahriman fought tooth and nail to save him. He pored over data, ancient texts, warp theory, anything and everything that might hold a cure. But sadly, nothing ever worked. Ormuzd was eventually lost to the flesh change, and Magnus the Red, their Primarch, was able to finally stop the mutations, but only temporarily, by making a deal with the warp that cost him his eye, giving him the name the Cyclops. But even that didn't last. Now imagine this. You've already failed once to save your own brother, and now the same curse is taking more of your brothers. You've already seen the cost of relying on gods, and you know that they are fickle. So what do? Ahriman did what he always does. He acted. Not for glory, not to conquer, but to protect what he had left. The Rubric of Ahriman was his answer to this problem. A spell cast not to gain power, but to end the curse once and for all. And it worked, in a way. The flesh change was stopped, but now every non-psyker in the Legion was reduced to dust, their souls bound to empty armor, silent and forgotten. What was meant to save them ended them. Ahriman's greatest act of hope became his greatest failure. So why didn't he stop? Why? After exile, after being hunted by his own brothers, after losing everything, why did he keep going? Well, it's because he still believed he could make it right. There was even a time when he was cut off from the warp entirely. No powers, no sorcery, no gods. Just a broken man and the consequences of his own decisions. But that spark, that defiant belief never left him. And when he learned that the Thousand Suns were hunting him, it didn't break him, it reignited him. He returned to his work, recommitted to finishing and perfecting the Rubric. He found hope again, he found purpose again. And as soon as he found that hope again, his psychic powers returned. So now, ask yourself something. How many people would still care after all of that? How many would still push forward for the sake of others? when all others are gone and barely even aware of what you are doing. That's Ahriman. He doesn't serve Tzeentch. He doesn't pray to him. But his very existence pushes the wheel of change. Every action he takes is an act of rebellion, not just against the Imperium or the Warp, but against the idea that fate is fixed. And that's why Tzeentch just can't look away from Ahriman, because that's the kind of change that truly fuels Tzeentch. Not ambition, not lies, but a man who dares to say, no, I'll fix this. And that's the paradox. Ahriman is the perfect champion of a god he refuses to serve. And maybe that's why his story hits so hard. Because he's not just the strongest mortal sorcerer. He's a mirror. He makes us ask something. What would you keep fighting for if everything you tried only made things worse? Would you still believe in your cause even if it broke the people you loved? Even if the world called you a villain? Or would you let the wheel turn and be turned by it? In the grim darkness of the far future, hope is a rare thing. And sometimes, the most dangerous person in the galaxy is the one who hasn't given up yet. Ahzek Ahriman hasn't. And that, more than any title or power, is what makes him unforgettable. To anybody who's made it this far in the video, I just wanted to tell you how much I appreciate you taking the time to watch my little videos. I started doing this for a few reasons, but mainly because I wanted to improve my painting skills, and what I learned from a few of my classes I took at university was to be your own critique. And it's hard to do that when you don't see what you're doing, and that may sound like a strange statement, but when you're focusing in the moment, it's actually very easy to miss a lot of mistakes that you're making. So by recording yourself, you can actually see a lot of mistakes that seem obvious, but you've missed because you're so focused on the task that you're doing. If you feel like you haven't made any progress in your mini painting, I highly suggest that you record yourself. You don't even need to make a YouTube video or anything like that. Just record yourself, and when you have some free time, watch what you've done. I was doing that for a while, and I was having so much fun recording these things that's when I decided to try making YouTube videos. When I was a kid, I tried being a YouTuber, and I found out that I actually really enjoyed video editing, but I never stuck with it. So after years of not doing it, I decided to try it again. I've had a lot of free time recently, and in order to make these expensive mini paintings last longer, that's why I've decided to try making them into videos. Each one of these minis can take twice, if not 3 times as long to produce into a small video like this, and that really makes them last a whole lot longer, which is a great value proposition for me at least, because, well, this is expensive. Finally, I would like to say that it would be amazing if I managed to foster even a small community of a handful of people that I could share these videos with and get a reply every once in a while. If you're interested in supporting me just with a follow and a couple of comments now and then, that would be awesome. I would very much appreciate that. And with that, thanks for watching.